Welcome, everyone, to Spook doodles, a podcast about the fun side of horror. My name is Lurdiak, my pronouns are he, him, and these are my co-hosts.
I'm Possum, and my pronouns are they, them.
I'm Namir, and my pronouns are she, her.
And I'm Patty Cakes, and my pronouns are they, them.
Patty Cakes is our special guest this month because they're a big fan of our feature film, which is the 1986 film Maximum Overdrive, Stephen King's one and only directorial outing. If you aren't familiar with it, the premise is quite simple. The machines turn against humanity, and after brief scenes of chaos all over the world as the machines go crazy, we focus in on a group of people trapped in a gas station, which is basically being surrounded by malevolent trucks. And that's basically the whole story.
It's not just malevolent trucks, by the way. It's malevolent lawnmowers, malevolent vending machines, malevolent planes, not a pacifist boat.
Yes. There's quite a selection of scenes of humanity being attacked by everyday machines, which to me is the fun stuff in the movie. A lot of the focus on the second half of the film is about the trucks, and that's where I feel it loses me, but I don't want to jump too far ahead. So yeah, like I said, this is Stephen King, and considering the variety of types of stories Stephen King has written over the years, people wouldn't necessarily think his directorial debut would be a movie where a bunch of trucks blow up constantly, but that's what he ended up making. He credits Cocaine as his co-director in a few interviews, so...
Yeah, that's pretty clear.
If you've ever seen the trailer, it's very clear, because he introduces the concept of the film and he is whacked out of his mind.
Oh yeah, Cocaine and AC/DC, partying with cocaine and rocking out to AC/DC, like basically as a groupie.
Yeah, the entire soundtrack is AC/DC. There's an AC/DC van in one scene. And the tagline of the film is the title of an AC/DC song, which is also the theme song of the movie, Who Made Who?
Wait, no, that's the name of a song, Who Made Who? That's like the name of an AC/DC song?
Yeah, and it plays in the movie.
But the answer is obvious. The cars didn't make us.
Yeah.
We made them.
Yeah.
Now we made the robots that made them. So technically robots made them these days. So humans, out of the picture.
Yeah, that's pretty clear.
So, this movie's very infamous for one particular moment in the scenes of chaos, but yeah, this movie gets going, like, right away. The very first scene isn't like a character establishing scene or anything like that. There's a little bit of narration that says, there's a weird comet that Earth is going to be caught in the tail of for 6 days. And then it immediately cuts to Stephen King himself playing a guy trying to get money out of the ATM, and the ATM starts calling him an asshole.
You are an asshole. You are an asshole. Just like print screen, you are an asshole.
Yeah.
Repeat like it just. Honey, this machine just called me an asshole.
And then it cuts to the operating system of a drawbridge kind of thing. I don't know what you call those bridges that go up.
Drawbridge.
Yeah, it goes up. It basically turns on and goes up while there's a bunch of cars on him, which leads to a quite spectacular scene of carnage. It's a very fun moment because nobody seems to get that hurt. And it's very chaotic, and there's watermelons going everywhere, and cars crashing into each other. It's very fun. Following the opening scene with the rude ATM, it sets a tone that the rest of the movie doesn't really follow. It's not really a comedy after those two scenes, but those two scenes are very funny.
Like every watermelon in the world died in the making of this film.
Oh yeah, they're going through windshields, they're hitting people in the face, it's like
and this
watermelon
is the
gore.
AC/DC tour van, I believe.
Yeah.
The AC/DC labeled truck rolls down.
You get all these cool shots of like the switches turning themselves. It's very clear what's happening. Like you didn't even need the explanation of the comet. All you need is the machines are turning against us. Got it.
I want to have a meter for how much the meteor has, quote, the meteor has control over these machines per scene. So given this first scene, we know that they can operate knobs, right? And move simple levers, just like laying the baseline for what we know in each scene, because it changes and there might be some inconsistencies at some point in time. So
oh yeah, well, eventually this escalates when a vending machine starts shooting cans at a coach at such high speed that it murders him.
Oh, it plants itself right in his cranium. Like there's it's planted a good inch in there, and there's no.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to get into this. So there is no mechanism in the machine to fling the cans at such a velocity. Like there's no pinball flipper in the machine.
Many things that happen make no sense for how the machines are built. They're just things that seemed cool that an evil machine would do. But if you try to think about them, they make no sense. But basically, things get more and more violent and people start getting killed. And we keep cutting to people getting hurt and killed in a gas station, which little do we know will be where most of the movie is set. And basically, once characters start getting killed is when the movie stops being a fun ride and starts trying to be a real horror movie. What do you guys think of this movie? Like Namir and Possum, your thoughts in general or on any particular scene?
I thought the Coke scene was particularly funny because any of those kids could have just ran like a step to the side and been fine, but they all just like run straight back from it. That's
Oh yeah, the movie's heavily censored. I'll say that. The MPA wanted to give it an X in the original version, so a lot of the violence is cut down. But yeah, those kids get annihilated by the Coke cans, although we don't see most of them get hit. One of them puts up his little catcher's mask on, so he's fine, but the others get laid down. And poor little Billy. He tries to get away on his bike flips over, and then out of nowhere, a steamroller comes out and just flattens the kid completely.
that's a pretty cool effect.
And it's probably, it's the most memorable scene in the movie by far. Just this musical sting starts when it comes out, like, doot, 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 and it just steamrolls all over it.
I have to jump in here and go,
exactly.
Yeah, but I'd keep doing that, but the vocal fry is gonna wear my, chords apart. But yeah, it's a classic. It's almost like the Psycho riff,
Yeah, it's close, but it's got its own flavor. It's higher pitched.
Yeah, it's someone from AC/DC on their fucking guitar just doing like a really good just shred on their guitar, and they're just like, you know what, we need that classic sting, but we need it with that do it, just do the thing, and then they got their electric guitar and they're like, okay, here we go, and they're like, perfect, that's gonna sell the movie. They reuse that, they get their mileage out of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it plays a good 6 times in the movie. They don't overuse it, but they use it pretty well. But the thing I want to say about that scene is that at the end of that kid getting flattened scene, the head was supposed to burst and shoot goo all over, but that's one of the things they cut. And that's a shame, because I'm not some kind of sadist who wants to see kids get hurt. But if you're going to flatten a kid, his head better explode at the end.
I can definitely see why they would be able to get away with that, though. That's pretty raunchy.
The fact that a bunch of kids get killed is probably why the MPAA was like, no, this is X.
It makes sense, though. Like, if you roll up a toothpaste tube enough, that cap's gonna pop at some point, and you're gonna have a mess on your hands.
Oh, if you're looking for it, it's very obvious where they cut a bunch of scenes. Like, there's a scene that was cut where, I don't know if it's cut entirely. I might have been in the bathroom when I watched it, but, what's the actor's name? The guy from Breaking Bad?
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, that guy. His character gets electrocuted very early on, but doesn't die.
Wait, no, that was Giancarlo Esposito?
Yeah, he was really young.
I saw I took an acting class. I did not recognize him at all, and it's funny because in his for my theater classes in community college, which I just got my associate's degree, I had to do watch a biography about an actor and like learn a little more about him and do a little write up, and he. The reason he became Gus and got his later roles was that when he first started, he was constantly cast as like common thugs or just mercs.
Yeah, that's what he is in this movie.
Then later on, he just said at some point they kept coming to him and he said, "No, I'm just not I don't want to be portrayed as that anymore. Like, I'm a really good actor." And that's what elevated him. They just, like, said, "I'm not gonna tolerate being written like this." And I just thought that was super cool. And gosh, I'm gonna have to rewatch this all over again just to watch him get, shocked. He got shocked by the machine.
Yeah, and I think in the theatrical cut he dies, but I could be wrong.
Oh no, he has a seizure and falls down, and it definitely kills him. But
but in the original cut, he survives, and he and a friend escape through the sewers halfway through the movie, and they find that the preacher guy is still alive. And, like, they skin his face off with a knife.
Second of all, there's an original cut? There's an original cut?
Well, in the cut that the MPAA saw. But all that was cut out of the movie to reduce the violence. And since the only reason that character survives was to cut that guy's face off, since he no longer gets his face cut off, then they just don't have the thug survive. And that's why he's got such a fucked up voice when he's grabbing the kid and they don't show his face. Because at that point he had no face. And it was like they would cut to a grody shot of his face and the kid would be like, "Ah, let me go."
It's like Henry Cavill and the mustache. You can't like refilm that and edit that in with 80s technology.
Yeah. Well, it none of that is apparent if you don't know about it. The movie's still coherent. But yeah, they cut a lot of grody stuff out of the movie. But yeah, the funniest and most fun stuff is at the beginning. And with all the machines going crazy, there's a lot of creative stuff. I'm not going to list them all, but the best part is when the kid, who is not Billy's the one who gets run over, I think. And he's going through the suburbs, and just at every house there's somebody who died somehow from a machine. It's all the aftermath. Like there you just see a bloody lawnmower, or somebody with a hairdryer in their hand hanging out the window. It's like it's pretty brutal, and you see a little kid being like, "Well, everyone I know is dead."
Yeah, this kid's got serious coping mechanisms in place. Like, he is processing this shit on point. He's like, "Oh well, this is happening."
Yeah, and then he eventually meets up with the other characters at the gas station. There's a bunch of people in the gas station. I can't even name them all. Can any of you?
I just, there's so many white males with beards and just, hey, there is...
Emilio Estevez.
What the fuck is going on? There's that dude. I'm never gonna forget that dude.
Yeah, there's
Bottle salesman.
There's waitress. Her personality is that she's a waitress.
The fat racist gun nut guy. I don't know if he is racist.
Was it the guy who owned
racist.
the place or his lackey?
As I was saying in the chat earlier, this character is like every bad guy in a Stephen King story roll into one, to the point that he feels over cartoony. Because like he's an evil boss. He's the kind of boss who'll threaten an ex-con and say, "Oh, I could have you sent back to jail." And he's also the guy who's like, nothing weird's going on well after everything's clearly gone to hell. He's also the guy who won't let anybody leave for really no apparent reason, but also he's a gun runner, but also he's sexist, but also he's rude to the kid. He just like blurts out that his stupid dad died. And like, he's every bad guy combined, and he doesn't really do anything. He's just very unpleasant. He has guns, and that lets them fight back against the machines, but that's about all the contribution he does to the movie.
It took them a while to use those guns, though.
Yeah, well, that's the weird thing about this movie is the pacing. I want to get into that right away. Like I said, the opening is chaotic and fun. Then we settle down, kind of Night of the Living Dead style, with our survivors in one location. instead of being surrounded by zombies, they're mostly surrounded by trucks. And for most of the movie, the trucks really become the main antagonist at that point, which already feels like a step down. You have all these crazy machines coming to life, but then, like, for most of the movie, it's really a bunch of trucks and a few cars surrounding the gas station. But then, like, there's a few interesting kills and escalations as the trucks, like, start fighting back. And then the humans start shooting at the trucks with these mortar launchers and blow a couple of them up. Then a jeep with a machine gun comes in and starts shooting the humans. And then, for like 25 minutes, nothing happens. There's a very, very long montage where the trucks are forcing the humans to fuel them up. And that's like the third act. And it's like, at the third act, the stuff should be going crazy. But instead, it's when the movie slows down. And it's like a tense standoff. And like, it's just people filling up a truck at one after the other while AC/DC music plays. And then in 5 minutes, the movie ends. Like, they escape, they blow some stuff up, roll credits. They get on a boat. And really the pacing is, like, this is a silly movie, but a movie can be silly and be really amazing. But this movie's pacing kinda kills it for me. But that's just me.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It really drags at a couple of parts. Because you want to see fucking trucks that are possessed. You want to see kills. You want to see thrills, and you get like a little bit of that, but also a lot of people just kind of hanging out.
They front load a lot of the kills and a lot of the spectacular stuff, and a lot of the budget, really. And then the movie slows way down, and then there's a little bit of stuff at the end, and then it's over. And I don't know. I feel like, well, first of all, when you open with that crazy bridge scene and the machines going nuts, you think that's gonna be the whole movie. Like, oh, they gotta, like, get away from machines the whole time. But then it really narrows down on these trucks holding them hostage for a good hour of the movie. So that's already, like, scaling down from, like, everything's trying to kill you to some trucks are trying to kill you. And that can be fun, too. I mean, Christine is a great movie. And that's just one car. But, I don't know, these trucks don't seem to be in any hurry to kill them, which is really weird. Like, they circle around and around for hours, not trying to kill anybody for a while. Then eventually a bulldozer comes over, and eventually a jeep comes over with a machine gun, and then, like, the tension goes up again. But then the trucks just want them to fuel them up, because apparently they can't do it themselves. They don't have any truck arms.
Right, and they've been driving around in circles for hours, so of course they're out of gas. And they're like, oh, I forgot you need, like, hands for that. But that's also weird, because, okay, so machines are coming to life, right? And, like, they can turn dials and knobs and they can kill people, but they can't fuel themselves. That's the one thing they can't do.
You see that the fuel pumps are possessed like the other machines, because one of them shoots diesel leaded fuel directly in somebody's eyes on purpose.
That means they can operate the pump mechanism.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The only thing they need humans for is to put the pump inside the truck. They don't have...
Yeah, they don't have hands.
Do they need us to unscrew the caps?
They can't. Those fucking caps, man. But that's another weird thing, because if the trucks want fuel, that means they have some vague sense of self-preservation, which you get no hint of at first. Like, these trucks are, like, ramming into things and blowing up, and they don't seem to give a shit.
Because they're hungry. They need gas in their tummies, and they're throwing a little fit.
I get that. It's just that there's a difference between...
There's
a difference between, like, machines that are coming to life and just want to kill everything for some reason, or machines that are coming to life and have some sort of sense of self. Like, they start talking in Morse code when they want the fuel. Like, that's very different from just wanting to kill humans.
How did... I don't know how fast we're going to start unpeeling this onion, because all I want to do is find out these aliens' motives, like, derive how big the mothership was, what was their intention, were they trying to...
Exactly. Did they have an intention, or was it accidental?
Spoiler, this movie ends with the surviving cast, which is way too big, by the way. Like, even if you're okay with having like 20 characters, way too many of them are alive at the end.
You need 2, 3 tops.
Yeah, exactly. That's how Dawn of the Dead does it. And these guys all escape on a boat. Apparently the boats are not evil, so that's nice to know. I guess there's no motor in it, so that makes it okay.
And whatever year you watch this movie, it says to this day, the Dixie Boy survivors are still survivors. And it's like, wow, they're
Exactly.
still survivors now when Emilio Estevez dies. This is going to be really ironic.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, at the very end, they've escaped, but then all of a sudden, text comes up that says, a Russian, quote, weather satellite destroyed a UFO that was hiding behind the meteor. And so, oh, I guess there was UFOs in this movie? And then the movie's over and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like very last second. Aliens did it, by the way.
Aliens
Jim
did it.
had a great comment about this, how it had a relation to Night of the Living Undead.
Oh, yeah, Night of the Living Dead. I thought it was a comet, but actually it was a space probe exploded, and that's sort of implied to be what caused the zombies to rise in the original Night
Yeah,
of the
but
Living Dead.
they're just, even then, it's just speculation. Nobody really knows.
It's just one of those like cosmic
So
rays
these
did
are
it
zombie
kind of thing.
machines. Like, they've died, I know they're not living, but they've died and turned into machine zombies. So they're like, they want people's blood and brains, but they can't eat them, so they're really frustrated.
That's the thing, right? If they were zombie-like, it'd be one thing, but once they start talking, it kind of becomes weird for me.
Humans are here. Humans are here.
We have to talk about the Green Goblin head. Like, everyone talks about it, but like we also have to talk about it.
So the lead evil truck, which really is the leader, it's like the main antagonist of the movie, is a really big toy truck with not a toy truck, a truck full of toys from a toy company, but for some reason on the front of it is the face of the Green Goblin from Spider-Man. And it's not like it kind of looks like the Green Goblin. It is the Green Goblin. They licensed it. I have no idea why. And it makes so much more
So they say that the drivers of trucks like that, they own the cab. So that's that driver's like
right,
custom.
but why?
He says it's his custom, but he doesn't say like, yeah, I really love the Green Goblin or anything that would explain
if you know
it.
Spider-Man at all, this is going to be super distracting because it's never addressed why the
God.
truck has a Green Goblin on it. And it would make so much more sense if it was just like a devil face or something. Like, a trucker having a Green Goblin face on his truck is just weird. If it was like a generic skull face or something, it would make so much more sense.
Imagine if this was part of Enter the Spider-Verse, and like this was like, what now? Does this mean this is part of the MCU, or you know, what kind of situation are we looking at? Because like it's either based in reality. I've got a tangent to go on, and I'm going to bring you all on a journey. Let's think of movies that have small casts imposed upon by a threat, stuck in a small situation, you know, small town, small cast. Tremors much?
Yeah. This movie has a
Yes.
Tremors vibe because while it's not funny the whole way through, it definitely has its comedic elements, and it's got some lighthearted moments. Like, it's hard to take somebody screaming at a truck seriously, for example.
No, like, exactly. Tremors made the threats just... First of all, everyone in the town, the characters were differentiated. There was an old Asian character, like, there were more female characters other than the sexual assault victim, which we're, you know, might talk about, but I prefer not to. The strong female protagonist that also just ends up like they really did need a man after all, you know, even though they're the strong, you know.
And don't forget the one who's complaining the whole time.
So anyways, about Tremors, so it's a small town cast, threat, they're isolated from everyone else, and the threats are bigger than, they have to outsmart themselves. There's a grocery store that gets broken apart into pieces by the threat that's intimidating them. But I have to say, as much as I love this movie, And I'm going to take a break to just talk about just why this movie was important to me. When I was a kid, just, lower middle class family, we just went to Blockbuster, and one of us got to rent a video game and one of us got to rent a movie for the weekend. Friends were all over. Maximum Overdrive, just the music was great. This was, before any of us had done drugs, just a great experience. And
if you're 12, this movie kicks ass.
Oh yeah, totally. Like we were right up.
I wish I had seen this when I was a kid. I would have loved it.
I totally associated with the kid on the bike. Like we rode around on bikes around our neighborhood. Like we were imagining like this shit was real. Like, and we couldn't like derive plot holes or anything weird with the plot. It was just like. Right, it was just a magical experience to be so naive and to be like, oh, dude, this is real. We're, like, right now, you see me trying to analyze plot points, but this movie was, holy shit.
Plot holes don't really exist when you're a little kid, because when you're a little kid, things just kind of happen to you, and you have to kind of deal with it.
Like, real life doesn't seem to make complete sense when you're little, so why should movies?
Exactly.
I mean, but yeah, like, if this movie had a different tone, or if it focused more on the kid, it could be a very effective, like, kid horror movie like The Gate, because that montage of the kid going through his neighborhood is really interesting, but it's so at odds with other parts of the movie, like the awful comic relief couple with the wife who's incessantly whining.
Are we not gonna mention that was literally Lisa Simpson's voice, like as Lisa Simpson as them?
Yeah, that's
Well, that's her actual voice, Yardley Smith.
Yeah, that's her name.
Anyways, so
she plays a real wet blanket in this one. Okay, she's just there to complain. Like, that's her whole personality in this movie.
Yeah. Bart, you're hitting me! Well, I'm gonna keep doing this, and if you stand there, you're gonna get hit, and it's on your... Bart, quit it!
It's women, am I right?
Yeah, this movie is not exactly a feminist triumph. the three main female...
I mean, it's made by a coked up Stephen King, of course it isn't.
Remember that Simpsons part where Lisa was really old and, like, obese and married to Martin, and she was like, I'm gonna go rent us up some movies? That was the same southern accent she used in this movie.
Oh my god, it was.
What I want to say is I just want to name the three main female characters. We have Waitress, who basically the only two things she does in the movie is she gets attacked by a turkey carving knife, which is a fun scene. And then she doesn't really do much for like an hour, and then she goes out, and after the trucks have shot up the whole place, she starts like yelling at them. Like,
it's suicide.
Yeah, and she's yelling at them. She's like,
she's holding a rocket launcher, like dangling in her hand. She doesn't like point it at them or use
That's gonna help.
She carries it out there. She's
and then of course she gets shot. She gets shot immediately.
I have to get this out right now. So the main thing of this movie is it's like, in big movies, sometimes they have to, solve the Independence Day. They're the movie's about the people who solve the problem. These people don't solve shit. I have one solution that could have fixed this movie. You take that Green Goblin truck, and in the X-credits you can say, and the leader of the aliens possessed the Green Goblin truck, which controlled all of the other creatures, and by killing it, they disabled the entire, crew. They could have wrapped it up. But they didn't solve anything, they just ran away, and in every zombie movie, once again, to make that parallel, that's what they do. They just fly away in a helicopter or sail away in a boat. It was just zombies, but machines.
Exactly, well that's this movie's identity crisis, because you've got this one premise where it's all the machines are going crazy, and these people, or this little kid is going to investigate and try to figure out what's going on, and we're going to see all these scenes of chaos the whole time, and then they're gonna figure out what's going on and stop it. Or these people at a gas station are just our point of view characters of a greater chaos that's going on in the world, and all we care about are these survivors. but the movie is kind of trying to show us both. It shows us a lot of stuff outside the gas station that gets you excited. So when you narrow the focus back to these survivors, you're like, well, what's going on in the city? What's going on with these other things? But the movie never gets back to that. So it's like the movie is too big and too small at the same time. If it was only like the gas station situation, it would be a more satisfying story. It might work better as an episode of Tales from the Crypt or something. But for a cinematic experience, it'd be more exciting if they were like in the big city and just running from machine after machine and just trying to figure out what's going on. They meet some kind of scientist, that kind of stuff.
But of course, that would cost a lot more. Like, it probably already cost a lot for this.
This movie either has too much or too little money behind it. Because for a small story, it has way too...
One thing for cost, like, I noticed right at the end when all of the cars decide to attack the gas station, they very conspicuously make sure that everyone gets out of the building. And I'm like, that's probably because they couldn't really, like, work in how to have stuntmen in there. Like, it's just easier to get everyone out of the building, let the cars go crazy. The cars don't give a shit about anyone running out.
What would make that scene great is, like, they're all escaping through the tunnel, and one last guy is like, hey, I'm pinned! And they're just throwing boards around them to, like, replicate the building falling down. They're like, we can't go get him! We gotta get out of here! And it's like, I'd say, like, an elderly lady, but there's not a lot of diversity in this cast, so let's just say it's one of the random white, dudes that are just chilling there, the truckers. And he's like,
one of the 20 truckers.
And then they cut away and they escape, and you see this building being wrecked, and there's a dude being crushed in there. That would give it, like, an impact.
Well, I kind of get the idea this movie was filmed in order of the scenes, because except for a few explosions, as the movie goes on, there's less and less money in it. Like, the ending has, like, 2 cameras, and they just get in a boat and leave, and then there's credits. And then the opening is, like, this fantastical in-the-city scene with all these cars and all these stuntmen and all these actors. And then there's the scene in the suburb with the kids, and then he's going through the neighborhood, and there's all these things. But then the rest of the movie is just the gas station and, like, 10 actors, most of which don't talk, and a couple trucks. And the very end of the movie is just the actors walking around with like 1 or 2 cameras, and then nothing happens, and then the credits. So I get the idea that the further they got along in the production, the less money they had, and they filmed the movie more or less chronologically. So that's why there's not any fun stuff in the ending.
Patty and I were wondering if their pyrotechnics team might have been AC/DC's stage pyrotechnics team, because a lot of the explosions really looked like stage explosions.
Well, that's because they did the old put a lot of fuel on it so it blows up, so the fireball's nice and bright, which is what they famously use in the movie Caddyshack. They just put a lot of gasoline in all their explosions to make them bigger. But yeah, that does make them look faker as well. But yeah, that's this movie has a lot of trucks exploding and running into things. If that's your thing, this is basically a Mad Max movie in disguise. There's not a lot of characters to root for. There's a little kid, you feel sorry for him because everybody he knows is dead, but he's not a great actor. And there's Emilio Estevez, but he doesn't really get a lot of interesting dialogue. He just says, "We should do this. Let's go there. These are the bad guys." Like, he doesn't get to do much. He just exposits and gives orders a lot.
Oh yeah, what's with the boss that says his name is Bubba and he calls everyone Bubba?
Yeah, I didn't get that. That was just weird.
Also, there was a sign that the young newlywed couple drives by for the Dixie Boy, which leads them there inevitably. Also, why didn't their car take over and just like drive into a ditch and like attach the seatbelt with magic?
It loves them.
That's one of the many weird things in this movie. Machines don't all go crazy all at once. And some of them never go crazy, and it seems to be entirely, like, random for what the scene needs. So they wanted a truck chasing a car, so the truck is evil, but the car isn't. And they want They wanted the gas station to be surrounded, so other than the turkey carver and the arcade machines, nothing inside the gas station tries to kill them. Like, the printer doesn't shoot out a roll of paper in their face or anything. Like, it's just those two items, and then they're stuck inside because of those evil trucks.
I have an answer to the Bubba question. The guy who calls himself Bubba and also everyone else, Bubba is like a southern way of saying brother. So, like, Bubba Gump is Brother Gump, kind of.
I get it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of of it being pretty much whatever is plot demanded, which machines are evil or not, I'm glad I'm not the only one who was thinking at the end, well, why is the boat not evil? Like, because they need to escape on it. Like, of course. I don't know. I loved this movie a lot when I was a kid, but yeah, I had no idea like what plot was there. I think it was on HBO a lot when I was younger, like this and Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I was about to say Killer Clowns. Thank you. I'm done.
Yeah. But yeah, it's weird, and it did start out like I had high hopes for it in the beginning because I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like the drawbridge just opening isn't something that you see every day, but it was kind of just downhill from there.
Yeah, it opens strong.
Yeah.
What would you say your favorite part of the movie, or your favorite aspect of the movie is, Namir?
I like that the trucks apparently care about intimidation because I think that's what the circling was around the truck stop, but then it doesn't really make sense that they just like immediately stop, or they do that forever instead of actually attacking them, because they could have just ran into the truck stop and killed everyone. That's the other thing.
Okay, I'm going to interject here. I want to keep your thought process going, but also interject by saying they were surrounding those humans to trap them because they needed them to gas up their trucks because the plot said the gas truck couldn't move its hose on its own. I was about to say, those hoses moved themselves on their own, then I realized I just saw Lawnmower Man, and that was a completely different movie. The hoses... But didn't the butcher knife jump into the woman's hand,
Yeah,
like a little carving knife? I
don't know if it jumped, but it turned itself on.
Well, they can move levers. They can rotate a machine gun. Jim, you can't talk over
Just
me.
saying, like, in basic physics, they can do little thingies. The whole movie, that was driving me crazy.
They need to have the character. Here's what this movie needed. Like, every 90s movie had this. Like, audiences are dumb. You need to explain what the premise of the movie is so the audience needs to know what they're afraid of. Because at any point in this movie, like, is the doorknob gonna kill me? I don't know. What if it twisted really hard? Or could tug the door in some direction? But if they were like, oh, the force can push an object with a force of 5 newtons in this direction at any point in time, so it can turn a key or move something. But there's like some weird line, completely arbitrary line they've drawn between what can operate, as me and Namir previously established, the boat. You know, what's to say that boat's not going to just turn into some rocks and smash on the beach, you know, and kill everyone right after the credits are done?
The other thing I noticed this watch is that one of the big turning points of the movie is when the trucks bring in a military jeep with a mounted gun, and the gun starts shooting, but the jeep doesn't control the gun. It's just attached to it, so you can swivel it and shoot people. So it's like, if the gun can shoot like that, why aren't their own guns turning on them, like jamming or blowing up in their hands? Because at that point, it's the gun that's evil. It's not the truck.
Right.
It's just attached by like a rod. There's nothing to like communicate between it. There's no control mechanism involved there.
It's like,
it's supposed to be a person doing that.
What do they consider a machine that can be controlled? Because, like, there are simple machines. Like, a pulley is a machine.
Well, I definitely get the vibe that it has to have some sort of electric or fuel engine involved. Because
No, but the vending
you don't
machine. I mean,
you don't see forks start to levitate and stab people in the eye or anything like that.
you only see video games shock people. I mean, do they draw? Like I said, it's completely arbitrary. Whatever the plot demands, whatever they have available and have the effects to animate or move, does the thing they want it to do.
Knowing Stephen King, and looking at the final product, I would not at all be surprised if there was not supposed to be any explanation for what happens. But the studio made him add those laughable introduction and ending
Take it
screens that explain that it was a comet with a
to
UFO.
take it in a completely different direction. Knowing Stephen King, I'm actually surprised this movie wasn't as horny as it could have been.
But there is a totally out of place sex scene.
Yeah, it's still a little horny, but like it could have been a lot hornier.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with having one sex scene in your movie, but the sex scene happens after they realize they're surrounded by evil trucks. You think at that point it's like, oh, I've got better things to do than fuck. I'm scared of the trucks.
Also, this was Brave Little Toaster set this off. Like, Brave Little Toaster took place at the same time that Maximum Overdrive happened. And all these, like, little appliances came to life and all the things. Like, if you want to know what's going on in the background, all this shit got along just fine. Just everything was alive and they were like, what the fuck? I guess all the anger and aggression was centered in that area.
Maybe in the Brave Little Toaster universe, like, all appliances are secretly alive, but only those ones like their owner. All the other ones are just pissed off all the time.
Like the power of love brings them to life, you know? Just like the power of hate brings these to life to kill people, you know? It's the exact opposite premise.
That would be really nice, like, if the Green Goblin truck did, like, a turn and became good at the end because its owner decided to, like, trick him out and, like, really liked it. I don't know.
I think
it's good. It's good. And then, like, you know, it's just like the hateful people in the South. This was set in the South, so that was, like, absorbed by the things, and they gained the desire to kill, whereas the Brave Little Toaster, which was set in New York, I believe.
Yeah, no one's ever been hateful in New York.
Yeah, can I just mention how underwhelming the very final scene is? So, like, they're getting on the boat, right? And then for no reason at all, one of the 27 million truckers just sees a big diamond ring on a corpse in a car and goes, I'm gonna get that diamond ring. And him staying back to do that means the evil truck runs him over, so we get one final kill.
No, you missed an important fact. He's sitting there looting this thing and all these people are running away. He somehow did not hear the semi-truck sneaking up on him.
It's a gigantic truck and there's no other machines anywhere and he doesn't hear it in time to dodge it. Like, it's not even coming down the road at him. It's stopped and then starts. It's like, those things are loud when they start.
The camera pans up and it's just there.
Yeah, it somehow sneaks up on him and he can't duck it. So we get one final totally pointless, uninteresting kill because it's not a character we care about at all. And it's not anywhere near the boat, so it's not like it's threatening our heroes. Like, they could just leave at this point. They'd be like, oh, that guy died. Oh, well, let's leave. But no, Emilio Estevez bravely just, like, blows the truck up and it's like, why didn't you blow it up earlier? You had those missiles the whole time.
They had the grenades.
Yeah, they just start.
They had a bunch of random weapons.
Yeah, you never see them, like, they all had... Oh, I love the one effect. One person, like, first of all, we can't forget the last victory spree through the town as they're moving as a convoy. Like, they go through the drive-through, and the kid has the gun, and he's like, fuck you, this is for my dad, and it's like, and he pulls out an Uzi or something, or a machine gun, and he shoots the Wendy's drive-through parking lot. I mean, I'm sorry, excuse me, this is a Wendy's, and it's like, this is for my dad, and he shoots up a drive-through, window.
And then they shoot up an ice cream truck that was just there.
Oh, no, that reminds me, if anyone's played Toe Jam and Earl for Sega Genesis, you know the Scourge of the Phantom Ice Cream Truck? And
Yes.
so, when I saw them just blow that up, I was just like, oh man, honk honk, you know, taking care of that's good.
But yeah, like, they have all these weapons, but both they and the trucks only sometimes remember to fight. The trucks spend a lot of time not killing people, and the humans spend a lot of time not fighting back, even though they have missiles. Like, they shoot a couple of trucks with their missiles, then they go back inside, and they wait for like an hour before doing anything else. Just keep shooting them! They'll run out of trucks eventually. Like, what are you doing? Like, there's this weird sense of like, no pressure, no urgency in the movie. Like, we'll solve this problem eventually, I guess. Like, in a normal movie, they'd be trying to blow up as many trucks as they can to get away. But instead, they're just sort of blowing up a couple and laughing, and then they go back inside and just putter around for a couple hours. Then the trucks kill a couple of them, and the process repeats itself. It's very weird.
Like I said, I don't know. Sorry, there's dog barking in the background. I don't know if this is implied, but at the very last scene, they rocket launch. Emilio Estevez rocket launches that Green Goblin truck, and once again, I reiterate, if they made it clear that, like, oh, this Green Goblin truck is the leader of everything, and once we kill it, everything's fine and we win. Like, they just needed one throwaway line to make it, you know, something.
If this movie was just about trucks coming to life and didn't have the greater story of all the machines coming to life, it wouldn't be less frustrating. When they blow up the final truck, you'd feel like they've resolved something, and then they get away. But instead, it's just like, oh well, where are you gonna go anyway? Like, there's like a million other things going on. I don't know. Like you said, it's kind of like a zombie movie with trucks, except it's also with technology, and I just wish the rest of the technology was a bigger focus in the rest of the movie, and there was less stuff with that gas station and the trucks.
If they remade Maximum Overdrive right now, like with current technology and the aliens could control the internet, imagine how much shit posting, what would they do? Are we in a Maximum Overdrive situation now? But imagine controlling every computer as well as every mechanism. Namir, your thoughts?
That's pretty frightening.
No, seriously, like, your cell phone gets taken over, your PC gets taken over and just says, fuck you, I'm downloading League of Legends and Bonsai Buddy.
I think that the reason that they're not killing that many trucks is probably because of the whole, they think that it's going to end in 7 days, so I think there seems to be at some point that they've calculated that it's better to stay there than it is to go risk whatever is elsewhere, but the movie is missing dialogue where they talk about any kind of strategy for survival.
Yeah, there's not a lot of strategizing in general. Like, in Night of the Living Dead, they argue so much about what to do, and it's like the main source of conflict in the movie. In this movie, they argue about, like, a couple of people say, well, we're leaving. No, you can't leave for some reason. Oh, well, we're leaving anyway. And that's all it comes of that.
They should be like, what about their food? Their energy gets cut off. Like, there's a whole subplot where they're cooking with the ovens. Like, we have raw meat, and we don't know how much food we have. Just make
like
it a survival situation, you know? Like, exactly, you know, they're jumping around. They're like, we only have chips. We ate all the chips. We ate all the refrigerators are down, and all the meat's spoiling. You know, we're gonna starve. They've got us surrounded. Add, like, a ticking clock to the situation. You know what I'm saying?
Or add, like, a more aggressive enemy, like in Tremors. You know, the graboids are actually coming after them rather than just kind of circling around them for a while.
Yeah, and another thing, what was the thing about the analogy? I've got so many. Braver Little Toaster, I did that. Oh yeah, Lawnmower Man. Lawnmower Man was a prequel to this movie. So Job, who is played by some creepy faced dude in Lawnmower Man. Jeff Fahey, and Pierce Brosnan makes him super smart, and he gets uploaded to the internet, and this whole thing is just an illusion by the holographic things he can project with his new powers as displayed on the front lawn, where he makes himself a giant holographic face. And so he made there's a UFO, and I'm gonna, cause he could obviously move hoses, and this is all like a cover, and this is the Lawnmower Man 1.5, Kingdom Hearts Unchained, the sequel.
I like that theory.
But one last thing I want to say about this movie is the first time I saw it, I said that this movie has 15 minutes of pure chaos that are really fun, and then it's an hour and a half of trucks circling a gas station while AC/DC plays. And there's way more that happens in the movie, but after having seen it again, I still kind of stand by that. Because
AC/DC is the name of the band, I'm going to give everyone a little lesson. AC/DC is about alternating current and direct current. So, I don't know which is which, but one of them goes through the power lines. I
just thought of something. That's why all the machines have come to life. It's all the machines that run on AC and DC.
Oh no way!
Well, I guess it's about...
That's fucking garbage. I'm not happy about that at all, but I love it.
I thought about that. No, that's not at all correct.
But I think it's about time to wrap it up. This isn't exactly a classic. Usually we cover movies that are more generally well regarded, at least among us. But you could do a lot worse than watching this movie. And it's pretty appropriate for the month of April, because it's kind of a joke of a movie. Stephen King has disowned the film.
It's a fun movie that you can kind of just have on in the background while you do other stuff. Just look up every time there's a car or a truck.
Yeah, or an explosion.
Exactly.
And definitely look up when you hear that string sound.
Namir, closing thoughts.
This movie is a trip. I think it's probably more fun to watch while high, though.
Oh, absolutely.
That definitely does help.
It was my first picture as a director, and you know something? I sort of enjoyed it. I'm gonna scare the hell out of you, and that's a promise.
Please like and subscribe to the Win channel.
Spook Doodles was made possible thanks to generous patrons like Adhesion, PTS, Christopher Smith, Church, Clayton Scholler, Count Trashula, Jetpack Jesus, Joe Nothing Art, John Gonzalez, Lauren S., Madman, Michael Kickin' Rad Corliss, MZ, Stephen Tyndall, Vincent Modica, Choco 1980, Flavor Fibe, Freud, Gravity, Cat Miller, Leah, M. Sinistrari, Mike Dunn, P. Coffee, Garju, and Sinister C. If you would like to become a patron, go to ScreamStream Official on patreon.com and please consider donating.